are now locked in and listening to The Issue.
This guy is a franchise quarterback, and no, I don't want to hear any pushback on that.
It feels like a top 10 roster to me. It feels like it can win a championship.
This is The Issue.
Yo, what's up? We are back. It is The Issue. It is Friday, July 1st, with another episode. Really good one. We're going to get into, first of all, Deshaun and the Browns. That whole situation.
Right. Kind of a, can't really say it, but let's go train wreck. Let's go tire fire, dumpster fire. Any of those terms will work in substitution for what I had in mind, but
very much so. And then we're going to have, to finish out the first segment,
a little bit of a rant. Deshaun Watson.
Right.
About that situation. Right?
Yeah. The second segment, though, is going to be, what is that? That's Are We There Yet? Our new segment.
A little Are We There Yet? Which is a game. That'll be right after a little rant. So we're going to kind of start to introduce a little bit of NBA to you guys. I don't know how many NBA fans we have out there. I know there's a huge market for NBA, especially like kind of talk show, radio style, like podcast style. It's pretty popular, right? And I know it doesn't get insane ratings, but it's very social media driven, very like podcast driven. A lot of people like to talk about it.
It's a newer, updated league.
Right, and I think this past season, especially in the playoffs, they got great ratings, and I enjoyed watching them for the first time, I think, ever. And it's kind of starting to click, right? Just kind of how we are able to analyze football, like the league of football, and maybe not quite as much analyze the game like we can in football, but we can still kind of, was this move good? Do they fit, right? We can kind of do that. And plus, we know some people that can talk basketball that, might know more than us. So that
would love to get on the show.
Yeah, cool opportunity for some more guests as well.
And then in the third segment, we're going to have our next edition of the top 25 quarterbacks of the last 50 years. So we're going to have numbers, 20
through 16.
20 through 16.
So 20, 19, 18, 17, 16. So we have five more guys.
So it's our second week of that. Stay tuned because the divisional predictions are going to be coming up. I think starting next week we start those.
So next week, to the next week or the week after. We got to get cracking.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm excited. The NFL season is approaching, and we all know that's the favorite time around here.
Oh, my God. Absolutely.
But first things first, we're going to start it off how we always do. Finally back with another week of hits and misses. Let's go.
Well, like I said, we're going to incorporate some more NBA, right? It's not going to be a huge topic, but kind of like NHL and MLB, right? We definitely touch on it. We'll have some opinions. A little bit more today just because we're kind of ringing in the new era, so let's ring it in, right? I've been saying Steph Curry's a stud, right? Obviously not on this show because we haven't talked about it, but asking to my friends, ask Luke, I've always said, I like how he goes about himself. Really good leader. Obviously has changed the game of basketball. I think he's a top 10 player of all time.
Yeah. I
think both his impact and the actual skill itself. He's the best shooter of all time. Maybe he's definitely in the top 3 of ball handlers of all time. Like I said, best shooter, definitely the best shooter off the dribble. I don't think that's a debate. The best range of any shooter of all time. And you could certainly say one of the best teammates of all time. Stepping aside to let Kevin Durant come in and be the guy for those 2 years, still able to lead this team post Kevin Durant, pre Kevin Durant, just his flexibility, not physically, but just, as a leader, as a cornerstone of that franchise.
He can do so many different things for that team. And no, you definitely have said it on the show before. There have been some bigger basketball things that we've kind of briefly brought up.
Maybe.
I do remember you talking about Steph Curry, and I know you've always been a fan. I mean, you've always loved that he's been the best shooter in the league. I mean, who hasn't loved that?
And I just respected the way he's gone about his business.
Yeah.
And, even outside of the game of basketball. And I think I've never gotten the slander of Steph. And, he won another title. All right, miss number 1. I've been saying, Yankees don't walk enough and they strike out too much. Everyone looks at home runs as strikeouts. I was like, they don't walk enough. They're not getting on base. So those home runs are only solo shots, when if we got on base a little bit more, even if we hit, a fourth less home runs, we got on base more, the home runs would be more valuable when we're talking run producing. Well, I guess I'm wrong. They're doing just fine. I think they own the best record in the American League, and they're pretty much carried by home runs. They're not having a problem. I worry about the sustainability of it, but at the end of the day, I mean, they're winning baseball games.
100%.
Point blank. Right, because Judge is insane.
Sustainability and consistency kind of go hand in hand.
Right.
Pretty much the same thing when it comes to baseball, but I mean, if they can keep it going and ride that out and keep relying on the home runs and they keep coming and it keeps working for them, by all means, roll with it. But we all know that when your top one, maybe even two guys start to hit that little bit of a slump come, late July, early August, the dog days of the season, right?
Yeah.
They can prove that, maybe getting a couple base runners here and there wouldn't hurt all that much.
Like what if Judge, who's hitting 8 home runs a month right now, what if he hits 4 a month? You know what I mean?
That's
a completely different baseball team, you know what I mean? Okay, so hit number 2, we've said this. I feel like there's been a hit for a couple weeks running because they just keep getting better and better and better and proving me more right, even you as well, that the Avalanche are the best team. And I've been saying it for a while, all playoffs basically. And they won the cup, first cup in I think 21 years, something like that.
Fantastic.
And let's remember, the Lightning, they're not like chumps. They're 2-time back-to-back defending champions.
Right. Going for the three-peat.
They were going for the three-peat. They looked completely outclassed, right? I think it was, so out of the final 4, right? It was Tampa Bay, New York, and then it was it Edmonton and, Calgary maybe?
It was
Colorado?
Calgary and Colorado.
Either way, out of the final 4 teams, it was like those 3, and then 2 or 3 steps up, and then the Avalanche. Like, they were not in the same class as any other team, I thought. And it was a competitive series, but at the end of the day, you saw the skill difference come out. Good for the Avalanche.
Fantastic. Watching them, the entire playoff run was absolutely nuts. I've never seen a team just come in and dominate like that. Yeah,
I agree. All right, miss number 2. I've always said the NFL is like probably the best league, right? They're always pretty, not progressive, but they move off things quick. They make really good decisions most of the time, and I trust them to do the right thing most of the time. Well, here's one of the times where they don't, and so I guess it's a miss there, that they're dragging their feet on Deshaun Watson. I don't know what the issue is, and I respect the whole they're doing their due diligence, stuff like that, but it just looks worse and worse like by the day.
Yeah,
I don't get it. It should be season long, bare minimum. That's it. Like they're like, oh well. Some people, the NFL did come out and say like that the fact that he settled with some of the cases isn't going to be a factor, but some people are saying, that makes it better for him. I don't think it does. He's just saying, I'm guilty, here's money, so I don't understand how that makes it any better. I think if anything, that would make me go, yep, let's finalize this suspension. That's it, right? That's it. I've seen all I need to see. He just admitted guilt for 21 cases. Like, let's go. Right? He just basically said, here's the deal. I'll say I did it. Here's some money. Let's not talk about it again. What's the discussion?
I don't understand either because, yeah, sure, you settle it out of court. So you do save yourself a little bit of, a Deshaun Watson in court hearing type of deal, right? Where it's like all over the media and projected everywhere. So I guess you do kind of
stay out of the public eye a little bit.
Retain some of the privacy. But at the same time, it still doesn't look great. You still have 66 private massages that were bought and paid for, and
even though they're not technically lawsuits, it still doesn't look good. Like
it doesn't look good. Even the Texans, what was that? Was that the owner came out and said, "Well, it's not illegal."
Oh no, that was Deshaun's lawyer that came out and said, "Well, technically, he didn't do anything illegal." Oh, that's so not good. Like I just.
Makes you cringe a little bit.
Like, okay, I get a parking ticket. Is it illegal? Probably not. Is it breaking some sort of rule, regulation, conduct? Yeah. Is there usually a punishment for it? Yeah. It's called a fine.
I'm a big fan of suspending him indefinitely. To get him done for this season, then figure out what you need to figure out, but at least make a decision now and stand firm on it and let it be a little bit of, a model, an example, if you will.
Yeah, I agree.
Precedents to follow.
So a little bit, this final point here is kind of a double-edged hit and a miss. We'll start with the hit. We expected the Steelers to do the whole, like, we don't start a rookie thing. It's the Steeler way. Well, that's not true anyway, but that's what they try to preach. And I guess, story out that Kenny Pickett is 3rd on the depth chart and Mitch is in line to start. So unless he bombs in mini camp or whatever, training camp, and the preseason, that he's most likely to start. So, I guess we were right saying that the Steelers would do that. Now, we said that, that we would start him, and we still do feel that way. I don't really understand not starting him, right? Like, he doesn't have anything going for him over any of the other quarterback prospects in this year's draft, except for the fact that he was NFL ready, right? If we wanted a project as the Steelers, if they wanted somebody to sit a year and develop, we have more talent on the market, right? Malik Willis is definitely more physically gifted than Kenny Pickett, right? Not even an argument. I would argue Matt Corral probably is as well. Carson Strong, who I don't even think he got drafted, but he's huge, big, a little bit mobile, more talent, a little bit more raw though. Right, so if Pickett's only thing was he's NFL ready, why are we waiting? I just don't get it. That's the only thing he had over any other prospect. Doesn't make any sense to me.
No, and it really bothers me too that he's third on the depth chart, just in the pure fact that
Mason Rudolph's above him.
And I could so see the Steelers like totally wasting this year, not playing him, not seeing how he fits into different situations, like pressure situations. We need to see how he can do in a 2-minute drill.
Yeah, and then that's a real thing.
We need to see that, and then we're going to miss next year's quarterback draft class. One of the most talented of all time, just going to pass us right by because we settled for Kenny Pickett.
I disagree. I think it's a bad decision. Just kind of like the Browns giving Deshaun Watson all that money guaranteed is a bad decision. And so that's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about Deshaun maybe being suspended for an entire season. And that's what I would do if I was the NFL. I'd make it a year. So let's just say that happens. Conversation's sake. Rest of this little rant here. Let's assume Deshaun is suspended for the entire 2022 NFL season. That'd be 2 years out of football for Deshaun. Right? Like people, I don't think we understand how long 2 years is. Didn't play this past season yet. Working out is not the same. It's just not the same. You say go do. If you have a job in the office still, which is probably pretty rare. Your job in the office versus doing some work at home, a little bit different, right? A little bit of a different temperature in the room. Same thing, right? We can practice all we want for sports. Nothing's like the game. That's a long time. 2 years out of the game. And I quite frankly, I'm going to be honest, I don't think he's going to recover from it. I don't. And the Browns now have signed, I think it's pretty easily the worst contract in sports history. Like I truly believe that, and I think that'll continue to play out. Maybe not quite yet, but I think it will play out to be the worst contract in all of sports history. Maybe that'll end up being miss number one in an episode in a year or two, right? Who knows? Maybe that ends up being a miss. That's my opinion. That's going to be the worst contract ever. And I want to preface this by saying I think Deshaun Watson is better than the person I'm going to discuss. You probably see the banner. It's Colin Kaepernick. I think he is better than Kaepernick. We're talking both their peaks, right? Deshaun, I would say before he, obviously took time off. He's at his peak. He's in his physical prime. He's been in the league a couple years. He's at his prime. Whenever Kaepernick, his prime that we're going to talk about, when he went to the Super Bowl, when he had a couple good years with the 49ers, was their guy that they were going to roll with. But some stats are interesting, right? So Cap has a worse completion percentage, worse yards per game, less touchdowns, right? Some basic things. He's not as pretty of a thrower, so I would expect that. But on the flip side, been to a Super Bowl, competed in it wasn't a blowout, was close to winning a Super Bowl. Has better playoff numbers, has better rushing stats, has less interceptions. So again, to clarify, I think Deshaun is better, and I'd take him any day over Kaepernick. But it's an interesting point, right? 2 years out of the league, like Kaepernick, 2 years out of the league, or more years. I don't know when he tried to make his comeback, probably right away, but 2 years out of the league before he got a legitimate shot to get a tryout, come back, right? How'd it go? I'm just saying. Hell, he even had a workout with, I think, the Raiders this past, month, 2 months ago, whatever?
Yeah.
Didn't hear much about that, right? You heard, he's got a tryout. We didn't even see footage from the tryout.
And then
we didn't even hear a report from the tryout. Everyone's like, did it go well? How's it going for Cap? You know what I mean? And Kaepernick did something, first of all, wasn't even illegal. Deshaun's is illegal. Kaepernick, it might have rubbed you the wrong way, but, it's nothing close to 66...
misconduct cases.
Well, not cases, but possible cases. 24 that actually filed them.
Right.
66 proven massages that are, let's use the word sketchy. Right, I'm just saying, I don't think Cap was even close to Deshaun's skill level, but realistically, let's say at their peaks, right, when Cap went to a Super Bowl, Deshaun was getting to the playoffs almost every year, right, with, a good roster, not great. So let's say, to set the scale, 1 to 10, Brady's a 10. 1 is you're a backup. 2 is you're a super, super low-end starter. 3 is you're still a low-end starter, maybe a bridge guy, and you have some flashes, right? You show a little bit of, not too bad. Right, like I think maybe the next step up would be like a 4, like a Jalen Hurts, right? Who we're like, maybe, right? Maybe. Yeah. I'd say 3 is more like a Carson Wentz, right? Where we don't really trust him. But every now and then he'll show flashes. He's got a sweet arm, right? Cap showed flash. Like I said, got him to a Super Bowl. Pretty good at running the football. Was a little bit dynamic, right?
He had pretty good deep ball, too.
Yeah, not bad. So I'd say on that scale, I'm going to put Deshaun at a 6. Been to the playoffs. a bunch with, like I said, probably a subpar overall roster.
Yeah.
Was pretty consistent. Really good deep ball, extended some plays, was able to run around, can throw on the run. Fairly durable, had some injury issues in college, but in the NFL has been fairly durable. Again, hasn't really been to a Super Bowl, hasn't taken that next step. So we'll go with, I think a 6 is fair if Brady's a 10. You could probably argue me into a 5, but we'll go 6. I mean, I'd say Cap was like a 3. I'd say Cap was about a 3 out of 10. Right? Is Deshaun that much better that he can take 2 years out of the game? Right? Is the gap from a 3 to a 6 that much of a leap that he can take 2 years out of the game and just expect to be that guy when he returns? I doubt it. I really do. I mean, how we get rusty from our, we go on vacation for 2 weeks, leaving our, boring normal jobs, and we're rusty, right? We're coming back, we're like, that Monday morning, you're back, I got to shake off the cobwebs, you're rusty for a day or two. We don't play NFL football, people. We're accountants and bankers, and I don't know, for some reason I'm only thinking of business. Doctors, lawyers, whatever.
Even here on the podcast. I mean, just going to say it. You took the week off last week. You were on vacation. We had a little bit of downtime. Came back. Felt like I couldn't even intro a show when we started today.
Feels a little bit weird, you know what I mean?
So, I mean, we're back. We're doing it, though. Bumped the rust off. But 2 years out of football.
Things get rusty, right? And the Browns just guaranteed him $230 million. For what, the next 5 years? One of which he won't play. Who knows about the rest of it? Right, so do I think he's Colin Kaepernick? Probably not. Do I think the gap is so large that you can just take 2 years off of playing professional football, deal with all this off-the-field drama, issues, etc., and just come back the same guy, the same level of productivity, the same level of leader that you need? Right? The Browns just had a guy who's talented, not Deshaun talented, but Baker. Baker's a number 1 pick. Good arm, accurate, not mobile, but can move a little bit. Right, it's got some gamer to him. A little bit of Taylor Heineke, dare I say? No, granted, he's better than Taylor Heineke.
Yeah.
But, a little bit of a,
the edgy
hill game,
chippiness.
Right? Hill game, for sure. The issue wasn't his on-the-field play. Could it have been better? Yes. It was the off-the-field stuff, right? It was the issues behind the scenes. Brady's never been the most talented quarterback in the league. Here's the thing. I don't think you ever had to worry about him off the field.
Not
right?
once.
Maybe deflated a football. Ooh, no. You want to know why? Because it was to get a competitive advantage. He didn't call out the medical staff or something like that. He didn't have 66 sketchy massages. Probably more. Didn't have 24 civil cases that are still going on right now, right? He was the most dedicated guy off the field. It's the off-the-field stuff I worry about. $230 million. I don't think he's Kaepernick. I don't think he's coming back, though. Well, I don't think he's coming back the same guy.
Not coming back soon, either.
So, little exercise here, kind of off the cuff. I'm going to go, right here. I'm already on it right here. Deshaun Watson. We'll say that, let's see, I'll pick his best statistical season. We'll say that's his peak. So, passer rating, that would be the most recent year, 2020, right? Probably his best season, 33 touchdowns, 7 picks, a rating of 112 for the year, right? Really solid. 4,800 yards. I think he might have even led the league. Now, granted, they went 4-12. Exercise. Let's take about 10%. Even if he's 10%, you know what? I'd argue 20% worse. So what's 20% of 30? That's, about 7, so minus 7 touchdowns. We're down to 26 touchdowns a year. So in reverse for interceptions, it would get 20% worse. So 20% of 7 is only like 2 more interceptions.
6. Yeah.
So, he'd have 9 interceptions, so he'd be 26-9. Passing yards would be somewhere around 4,100 passing yards and a rating of like 100. Good, but not special. I mean, if you look at his actual career averages, we're now down, we take 20% off those, we're now down into like a rating of 95, probably less.
And is that $230 million in the amount of picks that they gave up to get him?
We're actually down to closer to a passer rating of 90. And in his touchdowns per season, we're down to like 21 with almost 10 picks.
Taking time off rarely ever works in the league like this.
I'm just saying, right? 2 years off football, I don't think it's crazy. I think 1 year you could probably take about 10% off. 2 years, that's 20%. Right? So now we're looking at 21 touchdowns, 10 picks, a passer rating of like 90, and he's going to average about 3,800 yards a season.
And plus,
Matt Ryan.
Let's not forget, every year you don't play, you still age. Okay, he's not getting younger.
That's Matt Ryan, which serviceable for sure. Is Deshaun Matt Ryan? Is Matt Ryan worth $230 million guaranteed? That's the question. No. Right, so that's not what they would want to pay for. That's probably what they're going to pay for.
Yeah, and
even if he comes back.
Yet again, just a
poor choice.
Just another
by the Browns.
Just another misstep from Cleveland. I mean, we see it every year so many times, and you think, you know what? I don't think the Browns can screw up anymore. But hey, here's the funny part. It only sucks for them.
It only sucks for them. That's true, and it's actually it feels pretty decent over on this side of the fence here in Pittsburgh.
Being able to watch the demise and the fall of Cleveland like they always do to themselves. But that is all we have for the first segment. We are going to be getting into the second segment here. Tim will be having a NBA rant to start things off, so don't go anywhere.
All right, we are back here. Second segment, the issue. I've lost track of what day it is. Was it a Friday?
It is Friday, July 1st.
I don't know. I lose track nowadays. Finally in July. That's cool, I guess.
Rip.
Couldn't be hotter. Scorcher all the time, I feel like.
Yeah.
Every now and then you'll get one that's like 75. Feels really nice breeze, but pretty hot per usual.
I feel like it's either like 95 and just relentless sun or monsoon. Because I mean,
a lot of rain.
I can't tell you how many times already. I mean, I guess through the month of June it was like driving in Florida. Like you get those rainstorms where it's like you have the windshield wipers are all the way on high and you still can't see.
A lot of flash flood warnings.
Yeah.
You get the banner across the TV. Flash flood warning. You get the thing.
Interrupt the program. The great thing though is this show will never be interrupted by a flash flood warning. As long as I think YouTube will never, or Spotify will never interrupt a show with a flash flood warning. So that's why you watch this.
I'll be upset.
You don't watch shows like The Herd because that can get interrupted by a flash flood warning. This one can't.
You come here and you get uninterrupted. No weather reports outside of just the one you need from me.
Yeah.
Other than that, we don't have to worry about it. So I want to give you something. I don't want to spend tons of time on it just because it's about the NBA draft, right? And I think it's wildly speculative. Like you're just guessing at some points in the NBA draft. Like these kids are 19, 20, 21, right? Around our age now that we're getting older, younger than us even.
Yes.
Right? Like I think Zion is about the same age as me. Blows my mind. And so to think that people would be not judging, but kind of trying to guess and make me a franchise player. Obviously, I'm not skilled basketball-wise, but I'm talking, from a not maturity standpoint. We're pretty mature, but you get the point, right?
Yeah.
Having to go in and be the face of a franchise, just kind of crazy, right? Kind of crazy.
At such a young age.
It's so much guessing, right? There's so much more development that needs to happen. So I don't like to spend a ton of time on it, but something I feel fairly strongly about. One of my first pretty strong opinions in the NBA here is that I think Chet Holmgren is kind of going to be a bust, right? I think some people see some Dirk Nowitzki in him. I don't. Some KD, don't see it at all. Like I said, I don't see either. I see more Thon Maker and Mo Bamba. Now, I don't know if you guys remember Thon Maker. I forget where he's from. From a foreign country, came in, like a Luka, Nikola Jokic, all that. Came in real tall, could shoot like a guard, but was like 7'2", really thin. Same thing with Mo Bamba, right? Mo Bamba went to Texas, right? But thin, could shoot like a guard, but about 7'1" maybe. I think Chet is like 7'2", thin as a rail, shoots like a guard, handles like a guard, can block some shots, absolutely, because he's just so tall, not super physical. Thon Maker, he averaged about 13 minutes a game in the NBA, 4.2 points a game, almost 3 rebounds, about a half an assist, and he's in the G League now. And by the way, gets hurt on average, about half, if not more, of every season he played in the NBA. He never made it through a full season. Not ideal. Now, Mo Bamba's a little bit better, about 19 minutes a game, almost 8 points a game, 6 boards and an assist. Also frequently hurt. Now, I'm not an NBA analyst, but I do have eyes. I can follow trends. I do it for football, right? I can follow, trends, look at the history and say, does this guy project out, right? For example, next year's draft, Phil Dracovic, local kid, might be in it. He can project that out and say, well, I don't know how accurate he's going to be, and, I don't know if he's going to work at the next level because it's tough. It all depends on where you go. But I will say, he's the prototype of what's winning the NFL. Josh Allen, Mahomes, a bunch of these guys.
Justin Herbert.
Big, strong, athletic, can move, right? Physical frame, right? He's not super wiry, not super small, right? Big kid. That's what wins. So I can look at trends. It's something I do pretty well. You kind of have to. And here's the issue that I run into, right? He's obviously pretty small. Some people will say, well, what about Giannis, right? So back to Chet for a second. He's been working with a pro nutritionist and strength coach, actively trying to put on weight and get bigger since high school. And then gets to Gonzaga. That's almost a pro-level program when it comes to the facilities and the people and the professionals that they have access to.
And the standards.
They've been trying to make him bulk up and get bigger and get stronger, right? But he's just naturally that skinny. It's not worked, right? He's still small. He's still really, really thin. Right? He's just naturally that thin. Like Giannis grew once he got to the league, he grew and matured because he could. Right? He was thin because he didn't have pros working with him since he was in high school to help him grow. Right? Like I don't want to sound rude, but I mean like his family was poor. Like he didn't have access to the type of professional help that Chet does. Like he was so poor. His first, I think, full season, almost every penny he made, he sent back to his family in Greece. But, he didn't even have enough money to catch a bus to the home game, right? That in the arena down the road. He didn't have enough money to catch a bus there because he was sending so much home, right? So, obviously, when you get him significantly more help than he had previously, of course he's going to bulk up. He's going to get that bigger frame. Where, I think Chet has had so much of this opportunity to grow and to get, thicker, right? To be a bigger athlete. It just hasn't worked. Is he going to add some muscle? Yes. Is it going to be enough? I don't think so. All right, so I'm going to say it right now. I don't know what's the July 1st, right? We said first day in July. Timestamp it. I think Chet Holmgren. Now you can define bust differently, but I will say, let's say this. I think he's closer to Mo Bamba and Thon Maker than he is to KD and Dirk, and I think that'll be my claim. I think he's going to become frequently injured. I don't think. The NBA, that's a long physical season. Right? It's 82 games? You're on the road. You're in Milwaukee on a Tuesday, turnaround. Hey, you're in Miami on a Thursday, right? Maybe even the next day, maybe on that Wednesday, right? Yeah. These are bigger grown men. There's guys that are 32, 33, 34. Those are big, strong physical men. He's a 20-year-old kid that is skinny, wiry. I think there's more failure stories of guys of this build than there are success stories. I think KD is an outlier. Dirk is a little bit of an outlier. I think Thon Maker, Mo Bamba, that's kind of the pattern of what we would expect. That's more regular for a guy of his frame. So I have a feeling this is going to end up being a hit here in, I guess, to give it 2 or 3 years. But we'll see. We'll see. I would predict he's more closer to a bust than he is a star. We'll say that. Closer to a bust than he is a star. That's just my feeling. Who knows? I don't know. Let's get into a new game, right? I love games.
Are we there yet? It's going to be fantastic.
So you thought of this. Explain the background of the game.
So, it's summertime. Everybody's taking road trips. You just went on vacation. You took a long road trip across the country.
Driving.
A frequent question that is asked on a road trip is, are we there yet? Are we getting close to the destination? Now, a destination for an NFL franchise is obviously the Super Bowl or the Super Bowl window, the bubble. The Lombardi Trophy. That is the destination. We got 5 teams. We're going to go through all 5 and tell you how far away they are from being a contender in the Super Bowl. And are they there yet? The Denver Broncos.
I mean, so like I said, we're going, I don't know if we said it, but a banner here, right? Within the top 4 of teams, right? Because you're if you're in the AFC, NFC Championship game, you're in contention for a Super Bowl, period. It's hard for me to see them not at least being a top 2 team in the AFC, which would mean they're a top 4 team in the league this coming year. The weapons, the D-line, obviously Russell Wilson. I think, is there a little bit of flop potential with a new head coach, with a lot of moving pieces? Maybe. My hunch is 0 seasons. I think they're in contention this season.
I 100% agree. I think the addition of Russ is everything. You get Drew Lock out and you replace him with one of the best quarterbacks in the last decade in Russell Wilson.
Easily.
Somebody that can be precise, that can avoid a rush. I mean, yeah, he got sacked a lot of these past couple of seasons, but let's also remember he didn't have an offensive line these past couple of seasons.
Yeah.
So I think with situations being how they are in Denver, I mean, assuming the coaching works out well-ish, they have enough talent there to be
more than enough
to surround him and make him very comfortable. And we all know what happens when Russ gets comfortable. I mean, it gets dangerous.
Yeah, I agree.
We're gonna go with the Cleveland Browns for the second team here.
I'm gonna go 5+. Right, so we're going 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5+. Right, I'm not gonna be here and like, approximately 8. Right, okay, who knows? Right, I think 5+ is fair. But let's go 5+. So let's just look at Deshaun himself, which I think is the key to them winning a Super Bowl. Right, you gotta have a good quarterback. If he's out this coming season, Rusty the next season, by then Stefanski's probably fired because now you haven't won a whole lot of games. Your quarterback was out for a year. He comes back, wasn't as good. Now you have a new head coach. Who knows what Deshaun's status with the team will be? Maybe they get a new quarterback. There's so much turbulence. I can't see them righting the ship enough, especially in the AFC with all the good, really, really good teams. The Bills are better. The Chiefs are better. In their own division, I think every other team is better and more set up for the future.
Yeah.
The Chargers, the entire AFC West, right? I mean, to me, they're a bottom 5 team in the AFC, and they still might be, their roster's still good. It's just everyone else is that much better.
And here's the part that stings for Cleveland. They were that close.
I would have given them.
They were that close to having the roster. They had the roster outside of quarterback. It looked like the coach. They had the offense solved, the defense solved. They were great on special teams.
They
could get a pass
direction.
rush. They were that close, and then they just went out and did the most Cleveland thing ever. Signed the worst contract in NFL history. You can't argue me out of that. With Deshaun Watson, who we all know his situation.
Yeah. All right, next.
Third team, we're going to go with the Chargers.
I think one. I'm not sure, how I feel about this season. I want to see Brandon Staley another year. Now, I will say I worry because if they don't perform this season, Brandon Staley might be gone.
Oh,
now we're dealing with a new coach.
Hot seat.
So, but when you have Herbert there, they have a lot of talent. They just signed Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, right?
Yeah.
Give them a year to get it, get acclimated. Give Justin Herbert another year of development. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if it was this year, but I would go with not this coming season, but the season after. Mm-hmm. So about 1 season away.
Okay, fourth team, we're going to go with Miami.
See, I don't think 2 is going to end up working out, so I think either after this season or after next season they move off them. That means, so let's start, we're going to go with 4, right? So after this season or next season they're going to move off 2, and then we could be looking at a new quarterback. Now, if that new quarterback is special in that year 4, which would be the new quarterback's second season if he's a rookie, that's usually when they pop. Or as a free agent, right, you're there for a year, you're acclimated. That's where they could get close because I do think they have the roster. I think Mike McDaniel will be a good coach coming from Kyle Shanahan. That's just my prediction. But I think 4 feels about right. Now, it wouldn't surprise me because it's Miami, and Miami tends to make a lot of bad decisions in their franchise, right? They haven't been good since Marino. I'll go with 4, and I think that's being optimistic. What do you think?
I agree. I think, if anything, Miami needs to examine the league around them and look at what's happened when you are that close. I just said it. Miami's in a very similar spot to where Cleveland was at a year or 2 ago, where they had everything. They're missing the quarterback. Now, you need to survey the league here and see what happened in Cleveland and where that went off the rails, and then do everything opposite that Cleveland did. And go find your quarterback, because I do not think Tua is the guy, but I think that roster is strong enough to go really, really deep into the playoffs if you have the right guy throwing the football.
I agree. I think another draft or 2 and then another free agency period or 2, they're going to be close.
Yeah.
Last one?
Dallas.
5+. Yeah, I mean, they've won 3 playoff games in the last 25 years. what would lead me to believe that they're going to right that ship? Plus, I like Dak, but I don't think he's a Super Bowl quarterback.
A lot of limitations.
I think you need to surround him with really, really like a A++ roster.
Yeah.
And with the contract that he has and the contract of Zeke, which he'll be out of it soon. They'll be out of it soon. But with the money that's tied up there, I just can't see them being able to supply Dak with enough talent to get to a Super Bowl. And so they have Dak for this year and I think 2 or 3 more. And so that puts us in year like 3 of this little 5-year scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, you're hoping that they hit on more draft picks to.
And that's a big maybe.
And if they re-sign Dak, and if they don't, then they have a new quarterback. Is that new quarterback probably going to win in that year 4? Probably not. So now we're already on year 5, 5+.
Yeah, I agree. It's just the expectations for that organization have been so high, and they have delivered on none of them. I mean, none. 3 playoff wins in 25 years is probably the most outrageous stat.
For the biggest brand in sports.
The biggest brand in sports.
Okay.
America's team has 3 playoff wins in the last 25 years. And that's surprising in itself. But that is, are we there yet? Our first time
I like
playing
that game. I think it was good.
I do.
Yeah.
So we got the full list here. We got to just run back through it. Denver at 0 seasons there. The Browns at 5+. The Chargers at 1.
The Browns just got in the car. They just started their road trip.
Yeah, they're still stopping at the gas station to gas up and get the snacks.
Yeah, they might still be packing. I don't know.
They're still looking for the socks in the back of the dryer.
Maybe.
And then there's the Chargers. We have at 1, Miami at 4, and Dallas also just fueling up, getting ready for the trip.
Yeah, the Chargers can see the palm trees on the way to the beach. Right there, they started seeing palm trees. They're about an hour out.
It's when you get to the point. It's when you get to the point like you're getting close enough. You got the windows down a little bit. You can smell
the salt.
You can smell the air a little bit.
Yep. When you're on the way to the beach,
a little humidity's going.
Yeah, the Cowboys are at the same 7-Eleven the Browns are. Now Miami, they've already got their snacks. They're already into their first snack and their first drink. They've already got. They're already about halfway through the first podcast, whatever they're listening to on the way.
But they just got that first direction that says you have 100 miles to your next direction.
Right, they just got on that first highway where it's like, hey, 700 miles on that highway. Have fun.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's quite a daunting number. But, yeah, they're far, but definitely closer than the Browns and the Cowboys. That makes me feel any better.
Denver's in the parking lot, though.
Yeah, Denver's there. They're there. They're unpacking the car. Haven't checked in quite yet because we don't know if they are. It's a prediction, but we think they're about to check in.
Yeah, and since we said it, it'll happen. But that was Are We There Yet? First edition of that. Stick around for the third segment. We're going to have our next 5 quarterbacks revealed, numbers 20 through 16 on the top 25 quarterbacks of the last 50 years, 5 decades in the making. So stick around. Don't miss it. What's up? We are back. It is the third segment here, Friday, July 1st. We have another great part of the episode to get to here. We have the top 25 quarterbacks of the last 50 years. It's the second week of us doing it, so we are doing 20 through number 16.
Yep.
Those 5 today. You want the shorter version of it, you can go check out our TikTok. I think it's definitely up on YouTube as a short as well. The shorter version, just to get around to more people. So go send that, like that.
Comment whatever you think. You know what I mean?
Give us your feedback. But let's just get right into it. We have the 5 quarterbacks today. You said you like the guys this week.
I like all of them. Yeah, I like all of them. I think there's compelling cases, and a lot of research to back this up. So without further ado,
let's go.
Number 20, let's go Kenny Stabler. He's got an MVP. He's a one-time Offensive Player of the Year as well, a Super Bowl champion, one-time first-team All-Pro, one-time second-team All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler. He's got a career pass rating of about 76. He's a Hall of Famer, of course. Most of these guys are. There's some current players that, obviously aren't, and some that have just retired that are not yet available or eligible, I would say. But Kenny Stabler was a primary reason that the Raiders were relevant and, highly competitive, and again, even won a Super Bowl. The Raiders in the 70s, even late 60s, early 70s, were one of the top organizations in the league, and I think Kenny Stabler has a really good, case to make that he's the reason for it.
Yeah.
He lost one game. They lost one game all that season that they won the Super Bowl. They lost one game all season to the Patriots in week, I think, 4. Lost by like 3 scores. Turns around, they beat them in the divisional round. They beat the Steelers in the AFC Championship game, and they beat the Vikings with Fran Tarkenton. He'll come up later. That's a great run to win the Super Bowl. He posted 4 touchdowns, no picks, a pass rating of 104 for the playoff run. So not only did he win the Super Bowl, but he showed up when it mattered most. Kenny Stabler at 20. Let's go 19. I think Fran Tarkenton would come in here. Some people would argue that he would be that Kenny Stabler would be above him. I think Fran's. We'll get to why. So he's one-time MVP, one-time Offensive Player of the Year, one-time first-team All-Pro, one-time second-team All-Pro, 9-time Pro Bowler, one-time passing leader in yards in a season. No rings, though. I would say here's why he's higher than Stabler. And I can hear the argument if you wanted to flip him. I think his impact on the game has to be kind of taken into account here. He was one of the first true scrambling quarterbacks. You didn't have to be a statue. You
can see it in the highlights here.
You used to have to be a statue. Not have to be, but that's kind of the prototype of the quarterback before him. He came in, ran around a lot, extended plays. Stabler might have been a little bit better, but I think Fran's impact is unmatched in terms of that time period. So I'm going to have to go with him a slot higher, Fran Tarkenton at 19.
I like that.
All right, number 18. Let's go Jim Kelly. So I may be a little bit biased because he's a hometown guy, but he's a one-time All-Pro. One-time first-team All-Pro, one-time second-team All-Pro. A 5-time Pro Bowler, 4-time Super Bowl, 4 Super Bowl appearances, all in a row, lost them all. Again, maybe not the most impressive resume, but I do think it is impressive getting to 4 Super Bowls in a row.
Yeah.
It's almost like the dynasty that was 1 game away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where, imagine they win. They're 1 game away in each season. 4 games, and they are one of the best dynasties of all time, the first ever 4-peat.
And they're 0-4.
And they're 0-4. It's unfortunate. I think also... the stats are really good. QBR in his career of 85. And again, just like Tarkenton, he revolutionized offense a little bit. He was one of the first to lead no-huddle offenses in history, and he kind of brought that to prominence a little bit.
And he was there when the Bills got their greatest acronym for their name of all time. Boy, I love losing Super Bowls. They lost 4 in a row.
That's true. I think he's certainly really, really impactful, and I don't think that... did he rise to the occasion in the Super Bowls? No. But I do think he was a big part of why they were even close to being in the Super Bowl. And, like I said, huge part of the game with the whole no huddle, all that. And he was probably more talented than most of the guys that have been behind him. Although, maybe he didn't win quite as much. The stats do back up that he is more talented. And, watch the film. It's on YouTube. And while you're on YouTube, hopefully you're watching our pretty faces. Anyway, number 17, Eli Manning. 2-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, 4-time Pro Bowler. No All-Pro teams, so that's a little odd, but most passing yards in a single postseason run. That's something. He's quite simply the most impactful quarterback, maybe, I think, outside of Brady. I don't think you can tell the story of the NFL without Eli Manning. Right, first off, without him, Tom has 9 rings and a dynasty that is already amazing, right? The Patriots would have been ridiculous, right, without the 2 losses to the Giants.
Wow. Yeah.
I think the reason he's not higher on this list is because he was never at any point a top 3 to 5 quarterback in the league. He was always hovering around 5, 6,
He was towards the top, but never really broke into our top tier. He would never have been in our top tier.
Yeah, no. But here's the thing. He's got 2 of the most amazing plays that I've ever seen, both with my own 2 eyes or through a screen, on the biggest stage you can imagine. The throw, the escapability, and then the throw to David Tyree, the helmet catch. Mm-hmm. And then the throw down the sideline to Mario Manningham in the next Super Bowl against the Patriots. Just dime. One of the best throws of all time up the sideline. Without that, the Giants are abysmal for almost their entire franchise history, with almost 0 glimpses of success outside of the Phil Simms year, right? Yeah. In the last 25 years, they would have almost nothing. And here's the thing. 84 pass rating in the regular season, 87 in the playoffs, right? 96 pass rating in the first Super Bowl against the Patriots, and 104 in the second. Right, the man stepped up when it counted. Right, there's something to be said for that. Always available, almost never hurt. One of the better leaders of all time.
Always talk to the press after they lost too. Took
every
accountability.
single time. Every single time. So I think Eli definitely. You could argue me into him being higher. And some people are going to have a problem with the next guy on this list being higher than him, but it's kind of projecting it out a little bit, so let's get to that. Number 16, Russell Wilson. Already, he's a one-time Super Bowl champ, 9-time Pro Bowler, one-time second-team All-Pro. It's almost criminal that he doesn't have more All-Pro teams and an MVP. It's almost criminal he doesn't have those two things. It's ridiculous, and I can't explain it, but also, he's kind of on this list because of his consistency and then also what I believe he will win. I think he's got one more Super Bowl in him. I think he's got potentially an MVP, and I would say probably one or two more first-team All-Pros and a couple more second-team All-Pros. I don't think that's crazy to think. And I think if you look back in 3 years, if you look back on this list, having Russ any lower would just look bad. I don't think it'll age well. I think he's only going to move up this list, and I don't think it's crazy, right? So in the NBA, there was a list. And Shaq in year 4, on a list like this for NBA, he was on it, and people were confused. He was only in the league 4 years. They're like, what? Well, look how that aged, right? Look at that aged pretty well, and I think Russ has that. I think that's what's going to happen here, and I think the idea of what he's done to taking care of his body and kind of revolutionizing what the quarterback position is. This isn't a 10, 12-year position. This can be 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah. Him and Tom Brady have revolutionized what body care is. I mean, he spends over $1 million a year. Yeah. He broke a finger, and he said he rehabbed 17 hours a day. That's ridiculous. It was a finger. Yeah. It's like he tore his ACL or Achilles or something like that. No, it was a finger. He's taking it to a different level, and I think for that, he can only keep getting better, and he'll continue to rise up this list, so I have to put him at least on here somewhere, and I think he'll end up, like I said, moving up higher. I think 16 feels about right now. Eventually, I think he'll get his MVP and probably a Super Bowl MVP, in my opinion.
No, yeah, I mean, I agree. He does things he revolutionized his position a little bit. I mean, he's kind of like the king of escapability and being able to avoid the rush the way he does.
Smaller quarterbacks, right? He's the reason Kyler's in the league. He's the reason, even though Lamar's not as short, he's a little bit wiry. Lamar's got a chance, all that. So.
He kind of paved a path.
Yeah, he really did.
But that is all we have for the episode this week. That rounds out the next 5 of our top 25 quarterbacks. And, we will be back next week like normal with a normal show. We're going to try to get some good guests coming up for you guys throughout the months of July and August. So it'll be good. Make sure you're staying up to date with the show. Follow us on Instagram at @_issue podcast. And then our Twitter is just @theissuepodcast. Everything can be found in the link tree, though. TikTok, all of our other social media.
All that,
the website, YouTube link. If you're watching this on Spotify link if you're watching this on YouTube.
And there you go.
So it's available everywhere. Just go check the description of the episode. The link will be there. But guys, thank you so much. And that was The Issue.